What a year it has been for the Nike Dunk. We've had a ton of insane models, but today it is time to crown the best. I'm going to be counting down the top 5 best Nike Dunks of 2023 with, of course, some honorable mentions. Coming in at number 5, the Supreme Nike Dunk Low Rammellzee. Now, these dropped alongside the pair of highs on August the 31st for $138. Now, of course, like all of the pairs on today's list, completely sold out, and now they're currently reselling for anywhere between $300 to $400. Now, typically, I'm not a huge Supreme guy, and even the last SB collaboration that they didn't really do it for me. But these were something special. It's a collaboration with the late artist Rammellzee, who unfortunately passed away in 2010. And the release of these dunks was to celebrate 30 years of Supreme and Rammellzee working together. So for people who were fans of Rammellzee's art, or just the Rammellzee Supreme collaboration that they had done in the past, this is probably a massive sneaker for them. Now, as far as this sneaker goes, I think what they did worked kind of perfectly, which is let the art really take the forefront of the design. Most of this sneaker is all over black, and then the rest of it is just canvas showcasing Rammellzee's artwork. I mean, this pair of sneakers really just feels like a piece of art for your feet. Now, I'm also kind of impressed with the release of these things, given that they weren't insanely backdoored, or at least it wasn't that public. I'm sure some pairs were backdoored, but unlike others on this list, the release of these things was definitely not that bad. But I just think overall, this is a pretty different looking, solid pair of Nike Dunks that will definitely be remembered far into the future. Alright, next up is a pair that actually hasn't released yet. It's the Nike SB Dunk Low April Skateboards. Now look, with this one, there's no crazy storyline or backstory to go along with it. It's just a really good looking pair of dunks. Now, they're either going to be dropping on November the 13th or November the 27th. We've got some conflicting information about that. They're going to retail for $135, and I imagine after the release, the resale price will probably settle around $300-ish. Now, April Skateboards, you guessed it, is a skateboard brand founded by Australian pro skater Shane O'Neill. Now, it's not actually the first collaboration that they've done. In fact, Shane actually has his own Nike silhouette. It's actually called the Shane SB. The general appearance of this dunks takes a lot of similarities from the turbo green Jordan 1. It comes in almost the exact same tealish type of green color that you find on the turbo greens. I mean, it's even got the contrast stitching, which I actually think looks really good. Now, you do have some really nice feeling leather on the toe box, but that's pretty much where the leather ends, because the rest of the shoe is just covered in all over mesh. Now, the Nike swoosh is very clearly the most flashy thing on this pair of shoes. It's just solid plastic silver reflective material. Now, of course, you got plenty of Nike and April branding all over this pair of shoes, like on both of the tongues, stamped onto the heel, and of course around the back. But for sure, one of my favorite parts about this pair of shoes is underneath. That iced out outsole looking super clean, and bizarrely enough, this is the exact same rose that was on the Pop Smoke V-Lone collaboration. I have no idea the connection. You guys know, let me know down in the comments. Overall, this is a very good looking pair of dunks. As soon as I put them on foot, I was instantly like, oh yeah, this is gotta be in the top 5. Alright, coming in at number 3, at no surprise, is the Yuto Horigome Nike SB Dunk Low. Man, this pair really just checks all of the boxes. I mean, there is so many Nike Dunk collaborations nowadays that it takes quite a lot to actually stand out. And this pair not only has a great story behind it, but is also just super good looking and very wearable. Now, these dropped on the 29th of August for $130. Sold out, of course, and are currently reselling for about $350. Now, Yuto Horigome is a professional skater who was the first to win gold at the 2020 Olympics. Now, this was the first time that skateboarding was actually in the Olympics, so there can never be another first, meaning that this pair of shoes will always be the collaboration with the skater who was the first to win a gold medal at the first skateboarding Olympics. So it's definitely got that, which will make it a memorable collaboration for years to come. And I mean, it's also great that just the shoe itself is just very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, the colors all match up super nicely. You've got that steel gray mixed with some earth tones. The materials also feel really nice, which obviously is something that I'm a huge fan of. All right, we got the top 2, but before we jump into that, I think we should go through some of these honorable mentions. First up, the Fly Streetwear Nike Dunk Low. These are really nice from a colorway perspective, just having that gray as the base color, and then obviously all of these royal blue overlays with the suede that actually feels really good. Now, I think my favorite part is the huge embroidered Nike swoosh on both sides. I think it just takes a ton of detail, and I think it just adds an extra layer of texture to this pair of sneakers. Now, they dropped right at the beginning of the year on March the 25th and retail for $120. And right now they're reselling for about $250, so definitely on the slightly more affordable side, at least compared to the top 5 today. Second honorable mention is actually going to be one of the only regular dunks on today's list, and that is the Nike Dunk Low Mocha. Now look, these aren't anything special like the rest of of the dunks on today's list, you are going to be getting subpar materials and quality. But this colorway is really, really nice. Just the all-over brown mixed with the sail base color, I think is just a perfect combination. They dropped back in July for $110, and resale is actually not looking too bad. You can pick these things up for about $150 or less. Final honorable mention, which is actually a pair that you don't really see too often, is the Nike Dunk Low Year of the Rabbit. And maybe you don't even hear about these things too often because they dropped literally all the way back in January and people have already forgot about them. They retail for $130, and they also come in a really nice special box. And right now they're actually reselling for about $150. So again, not too bad. They celebrate the Chinese Lunar New Year, in which the Year of the Rabbit doesn't actually come around too often. And the semi-translucent outsole really signifies that, having 2023 and 2011 for the last time it was the Year of the Rabbit. You've got the fluffy Nike swooshes, a rabbit stamped onto the back of the heel. So it's kind of a fun but also good looking pair when you're actually wearing them. But the best two dunks to drop this entire year starts with the Nike SB Dunk Low Jarritos. Man, this pair of sneakers just encapsulates what I personally love so much about SB collaborations. I mean, it's oftentimes two wildly different brands coming together to create a product, somehow ending up being pretty cohesive. Now, these follow in a somewhat similar step to the Ben & Jerry's ice cream Nike SB Dunk Low. I mean, I guess it's kind of food and beverage themed because Jarritos is a Mexican soft drink. Really nothing to do with skating or a sportswear company. Now, these dropped on May the 6th for $130. And actually, unlike a lot of sneakers on today's list, the price on these things has just kept on going up. And currently, they're sitting at about $500 to $600 if you wanted to pick these things up right now. It's a fun, pretty special collaboration with a ton of details that actually make it super interesting. The upper has this burlap sack feeling type of material all over it that even goes for the Nike swoosh. That material is predominantly just all over tan or taupe colored, but you can actually cut all of that material away to reveal a vibrant orange leather. Alright, it is time for the best Nike Dunk for 2023, and of course I had to give it to the Nike Dunk Low Panda. Man, this pair of dunks is just such a special, unique pair of shoes that will just really help you stand out from the crowd. And obviously that was a joke. Apologies to anybody who almost had a heart attack with that one. It is the Nike SB Dunk Low Born and Raised. It just had to be. And to be completely honest, before these things released, I was going to say that the Jarritos was the best dunk. I didn't even consider the Born and Raised to be at number 2. But after I got these things in hand and just found myself wearing them so much more than any other SB dunk, I knew it was an easy number 1 for me. I'm a sucker for this blue and white color blocking on this pair of shoes, and the fact that once you get them in hand and you just discover so many little details on it. But unfortunately, this pair of shoes did have quite a troubled release. Right before these were scheduled to drop in July, the founder of Born and Raised, Chris Printup, unfortunately passed away. He was tragically only 42, and obviously because of this, Nike decided to pull the release of these things and just kind of pause it. While this pair of shoes was in limbo, possibly cancelled or postponed, the resale price jumped up and suddenly all of these resellers had a ton of backdoored pairs. And currently the resale price is anywhere between $600 and $700. So yeah, this is hands down the most expensive on today's list. Now, like I was saying, there's a ton of details on this pair of shoes. You've got this giant bubble-like Nike swoosh that's also holographic material, which somehow I really like the look of. You've got embroidered text all over it, even around the toe box. And of course, you got a semi-translucent outsole with the branding kind of peeking through, which I think is a really nice touch as well. So yeah, for me, it's a pretty easy pick. Definitely the best Nike dunk to drop this entire year. But hey, do you agree? Let me know down in the comment section what your favorite dunk for this year is. And if you want to check out the 10 best Jordans that dropped here in 2023, click that video over there.